welcome back to more Bannerlord content. Yes, Bannerlord isn't dead. It's getting DLC. And today I just wanted to, I know I'm a few days late with this news, but I wanted to share my thoughts and impressions on the Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord War Sales DLC announcement that was made last week. All the stuff I'm going to be talking about and going through, you can check out via the link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm just going to share my thoughts and impressions from what we've seen in that trailer, going through the blog post that they've got here, and obviously, of course, confirm that I will 100% be playing the crap out of War Sales when it releases. Loads of people have been asking, would I ever go back and do another kind of base game unmodded playthrough? And I wasn't really sure, to be honest, because I've just been loving all the modded playthroughs. I've been doing Game of Thrones mods, still looking forward to hopefully future overhauls like Sengoku and Lord of the Rings. And yeah, the base game, honestly, I've had fun playing through those factions, but there's nothing really to draw me back there, although question mark still looms over a potential Battanian playthrough. But this DLC is 100% going to take me back to kind of the vanilla setting, back to Calradia. We're obviously getting a new faction to play as the Nords, which were easily my favorite faction in Warband. But I would imagine it's probably safe to say that if I enjoy an initial playthrough with War Sales with the Nords, then I'll probably look to finally give you guys that Battanian playthrough and potentially more base game with DLC playthroughs in the future. So not only is there new content coming in the DLC, but there is also a fairly substantial update coming to the base game itself. So we're going to go through all of that from this blog post. Let me know what you thought of the trailer. I thought it was really cool as well. From my understanding, they actually hired one of the kind of cinematic YouTubers that they've done Total War cinematics. They've done Bannerlord cinematics. I'll try and remember to pop a link to their channel as well. So I thought that was really cool that they gave them the opportunity to work with Tailworlds to make the trailer for this DLC. So let's jump on in. So first of all, it's out on the 17th of June, 2025. So definitely we'll be covering that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there might be some early access and I can start a series early for you guys, or like do a first look at least. Trailer I thought was really cool. Lots of things to pick out that trailer, and I'll probably come back to that as we're taking a look at some of the stuff in the announcement blog post right now, as to my thoughts on that trailer. But already initially, like the weather effects, I really hope that there's kind of some dynamic weather there. I don't know how much of that actually impacts your naval combat and things like that. Obviously, we have seen some naval battles in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, but it's only been through the scope of what mods have added in. So my whole experience with naval battles has been the implementation by the Game of Thrones mod, which it's fantastic that they added in naval battles, but it is a little bit of a janky experience. You know, the ships lining up and then your troops can fall through and then sink to the bottom of the sea. There's some clipping issues and stuff like that, but it's still better than not being able to have naval battles for sure. So it will be very interesting to see what the official implementation is. I'm obviously expecting it to be a fair bit more than what we've seen mods add in so far. But I mean, there's a lot of things in the blog post for the DLC and also the base game update. You can see clearly modders have inspired Tailworlds to add in things like dynamic kind of RPG quests and things like that. Looking at you, Old Realms mod. They've been very good at doing that sort of thing. So I feel like, you know, it's great. Well, feel like if anything, GG modders, because 100% you guys have kept the game alive over the past couple of years, and you've clearly inspired the developers to take on board some of the features that you guys have created as modders, and obviously, you know, bring them to life in either the base game or via DLC content, and hopefully, you know, with additional content as well, and kind of tweak and improve them further. Anyway, sail the high seas and lead mighty fleets. Forge your legacy in War Sales, the epic single-player expansion for Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, bringing naval warfare to Bannerlord for the first time. Outside of mods, War Sales lets players command powerful ships, engage in thrilling sea battles, and master maritime conquest. Embark on daring naval adventures with new mechanics, territories, and challenges. Customize your fleet, conquer settlements, and carve your legend on the high seas. That already just makes me very excited. The thought of, you know, new mechanics, territories that are being added in. Like, it looks like there's going to be a northern part of the map added in, where the Nords are descending upon, very Viking invasion style, because that's typically what they are. This actual like shot here, where it's you got lovely drone shot coming down the mountainside there, seeing the ships going into another line of ships that are barricaded and blocked the path for those ships. It looks really cool. I really hope that naval battles are being implemented so that they're as intricate as land battles, essentially. Like, you'll have different formations and there'll be different options and things like that, so that it's not just sail at them, jump over and start boarding them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can do there. Meet the Nords, a new Viking-inspired faction. So chart your course with the Northern Kingdom, home of the fearless Nords, legendary seafarers and masters of close quarters combat. I always played as the Nords in Mount & Blade Warband. I absolutely loved them. They were easily my favorite. Explore a land of jagged peaks, vast taijas and freezing fjords, where scattered settlements rise like ships from the sea. A bold adventurer may trade their goods, recruit their warriors, join their ranks, or challenge their rule. Will you join the North or seize its riches? So, I mean, challenge their rule, a wider thing, and one of the biggest things that I still want to see improved in the base game is kingdom management, because honestly, you go through all that effort to become king and then it just sucks actually being king, because there's no fun in management and there's very limited options of what you can do. So I hope that, challenge their rule obviously allows you to challenge a king, I don't know, combat or whatever, and you can take over faction. I just also hope there are some additional kingdom management options that make it fun to continue playing essentially once you become king, rather than it just being, almost a bit of like a mindless slog through afterwards. Master Naval Warfare. War Cells introduces a unique and immersive naval warfare system that has been inspired by accounts of actual medieval sea battles. Featuring realistic wind and water physics, ship-to-ship combat lets you board enemies from multiple points, ram them, or attack from afar. That's what I wanted to hear. That's great, because I don't want it to just be you sail up and then you board them. Like having multiple points to board them from, ramming them being a viable strategy, or sitting back and, hitting them with ranged troops. I don't know if maybe there's going to be some ships where you can put some artillery on it or something like that. Captains can seize opportunities by boarding already engaged ships, preparing for an incoming attack by creating a floating fortress, or take a risk to tie down several enemies at once, giving their allies an edge elsewhere. They may ram an enemy ship to sink it, or at least throw men off board. Shatter oars and compromise buoyancy. Well-placed arrows and ballista fire, yes, can tear through sails, further crippling mobility. Great. So actually, like, sails play into it as well, similar to Empire and Napoleon Total War, where you had different ammo shots and you could use chain shot to take out the enemy's masts and sails. That's really cool. Obviously, I'm not expecting chain shot, but you know what I mean. You can actually, like, the sails are a separate entity that you can specifically target tactically, strategically. It adds to the layers. Then we can see a nice little ramming animation here, really smashing on in. Hope we get like dynamic weather, because the naval battle we saw in the trailer, it switches from like being like happy daytime to, thunderous and stormy weather. Explore an expanded world. Calradia has been reimagined with the northern region, a settled island, coastal waters, and open seas. The dynamic weather system was also refined to include storms and trade winds. Ships move faster when riding the gales, but beware, attrition can unravel even the best laid plans. The naval systems and Nord faction integrate into Bannerlord's world, reshaping trade, warfare, and diplomacy. So, okay, on that point, that's probably, aside from kingdom management, that's another kind of big bugbear I still have with the base game, that diplomacy also sucks. It is pretty much a go-to mod to get like the Diplomacy Plus mod or other similar mods, where if I'm playing vanilla Bannerlord to a degree, because the base game diplomacy just ain't really there. The thing is that frustrates me as well. You've got all the options for diplomacy when you engage with another character. I've never once found it useful to actually utilize, though. So that's what I hope. I want characters coming to me as well saying, hey, I've got a trade deal for you, or hey, let's barter, or maybe we should discuss this in trade. So I really hope that this DLC also builds on that as well and improves it. Reshaping trade, though, as well, because that's kind of another thing. Making money in Bannerlord, the easiest way, realistically, is just by fighting and selling the loot. Profit, happy days. Perfectly viable strategy, but I know some other like creators and stuff like that really wanted to do some role play, trying to play as like a merchant or like a trade caravan overlord that way. And this sounds like maybe we'll be getting closer to that being a bit more viable. But I'm also hoping that when you conquer a settlement now as well, or when you rule a settlement, hopefully this is rebalanced a little bit. Workshops and just the general trade economic infrastructure, because realistically that's always what I wanted with workshops and making money from your settlements. I never wanted them to make me super rich. where you'd suddenly look at your balance in game and go, like, oh, look, I've generated 1 million coin, like, you know, or 1 million gold or whatever. That's great. No, I just, at the bare minimum, I'd like my workshops and my cities to be able to pay for my armies and then just give me a little bit extra on top. Like, you know, even if it's just like 1,000 extra per tick of, you know, income. It doesn't need to make you a fortune, but it needs to at least be viable in that it covers your initial expenses of your army. That's what I've always wanted the economy of Bannerlord and Mount & Blade to do. And it's never quite done that. And again, not without extensive modding. And then you eventually just give up and don't bother with workshops because there's just no point putting your time and money into it. You might as well just go defeat another army and sell all their loot. So yeah, hopefully, reshaping trade, hopefully, that's a sign of a solid step in the right direction. Ship production and new trade goods add regional variety. Ship production. Ooh, I can produce ships, eh? Coastal towns may grow rich from this if they can fend off the pirates and naval. Okay, naval invasions. I like it. Oh, I wonder, actually, yeah, they haven't mentioned. Have we, I mean, maybe we'll get to it in a minute. Combined battles. Is there a point where you can be on your ship and you have a naval battle and then you land, get off your ship, and then you fight the rest of them on land? That would be chef kiss. Sieges have also been adapted to naval warfare. Armies will have to bring along a fleet and set up a blockade. Nice, if they want to stop supplies and reinforcements arriving overseas. Cool, cool, cool. Hopefully, that's also a sign that then maybe you can launch separate waves from the ships. But also, hopefully, that's just, I don't know, maybe I'd like to think that maybe they've also given a pass over some other coastal settlements and made them a little bit more like viable to reinforce via the sea or traversable via like the sea and trade routes and things like that. Build your fleet. Players can choose from 18 ship types modeled after historical vessels, each with unique handling shaped by realistic wind and wave physics. They can be customized with siege engines. Yes! Cargo holds. So, okay, so they really are trying to press that hopefully trade is valuable because honestly, caravans, who wants to be chasing a caravan around the map? Hopefully there's going to be some good spoils to be had raiding trade ships, but also it's also going to be viable to have a trade flotilla and make your fortune that way as well. Sails, rams, and mortar can all be customized. Shipyards build and stock vessels based on their town's culture and development. Players can also capture ships and figureheads in battle. Lovely. That's what we want to see. Loving all the colors as well. Expand your arsenal. Your character system has been extended with Nord hairstyles, beards, and tattoos. Yes! Hey, Tailworlds, if you need any help modeling some 3D beardage, I'd be happy to have a Lionheart beard included. Just saying. 3 nautical skills were added that enhance navigation, tactics, and stewardship. There are also many new items, including spears, swords, axes, shields, and armor. Troop trees now include mariner troops that are more effective at sea. Players can also recruit new companions with maritime backgrounds. Lovely. Learn the ropes. A new quest line introduces players to the seas of Calradia through cinematics, scripted missions, and classic Mount & Blade gameplay. That's good. There's actually a quest line to do it as well. Good. Learn how to command your ship and then take it into battle against a pirate confederacy. Lead a growing fleet of newfound allies as you face a range of nautical challenges. Yar! Well, there's definitely going to be an inevitable pirate playthrough, isn't there? Enhanced audio. The sounds of the sea come to life with new Mediterranean and Nordic-inspired musical tracks. Experience rich soundscapes and piercing winds, crashing waves, and creaking ships. Feel the heat of battle as steel clashes and sailors cry out. That's really cool because, yeah, I mean, people may not put much kind of importance to enhanced audio, but it's such a key part of making an immersive experience. So that's lovely to see as well. Now, that's all the stuff that's coming in the DLC. And for what I've read as well, all that stuff means that there won't be naval battles added to the base game. You will need the DLC to experience naval battles. However, if you're not planning on picking up the DLC, or if you just want to know what they're also doing to the base game, there is a fairly extensive base game update coming alongside the DLC on the 17th of June. And the base game plans. So I don't think they've actually like fully locked everything down, but they have started to kind of reveal some of the stuff that they're planning on including in the free update that will come alongside War Sales. we just want to give you a general update on Bannerlord and what we've been doing and what is yet to come. So after full release in October 2022, they published a number of updates that not only addressed important issues across the various platforms, but also introduced additional features such as weather and weather effects, fog of war, sally out ambush, formation targeting, warehouses, alleys, and many more. Much like during our early access period, we continue to expand and refine the game with your feedback and support. We're truly grateful to have such a dedicated community who's been with us every step of the way. 100%. As we mentioned in our post-release plans, we were open to exploring DLCs as one way of introducing additional content. And while that remained true, we realized that our communication has not met the level that you're going to expect from us. Yeah, I mean, basically they went radio silence and then they would come back and they'd be like, we're going to do better. And then they go radio silent again. It's been, I think, fairly obvious, like outside perspective looking in and, you know, not having much communication out. Like to be honest, as a creator, I never had like a lot of direct of communication between myself and Tailworlds, but like definitely it just completely dropped off as well from my perspective as well, and then talking to a few other creators as well. Like, yeah, they just went radio silent. It sounded like there was some turmoil going, you know, tough times for the studio, whatever they were planning, development hell. And broadly what they say in the next bit is that they were working on a more story-driven DLC, but couldn't quite get it right. It didn't meet the quality that they were aiming for. I honestly think that, to be honest, and I'm glad that they've stepped away from that and they're now looking into war sales, because I honestly think a more story-driven DLC is a bad idea. No one is directly looking to play Bannerlord for the story. As I've said before, yeah, it's nice to do the Dragon Banner questline maybe once, but how many players even get that far? How many people ignore the explore or find out more about Nemetez's folly or whatever, and you're like, no, ignore that. I'm going to go conquering or whatever. And I don't necessarily think that's because it's a poor story. I think it's just because the vast majority of people that want to play Mount & Blade want to do it for the sandbox experience and crafting their own story and tale. I think if anything, if they wanted to have more narrative story-driven elements, they should make the side quests more appealing, multi-staged and things like that, so that they're optional stories that you can dip and dive into whenever you want, but you don't feel like you're pinned down with a main story. I also wonder if they were looking to try and push more into the realm of like a dedicated story-driven RPG for Bannerlord, just because of how popular RPGs have grown even more so in you know, the last few years as well. But yeah. They said it was an interesting new approach, but ultimately didn't meet their quality that they aimed for. So rather than talking about it and releasing something that they weren't happy with, they made the tough decision to cancel its launch. These hurdles caused a delay in their communications, and we sincerely appreciate. Yeah, I mean, probably didn't know what they were doing. Like at some point in turmoil, development hell, you know, obviously the lack of communication is bad, and yeah, everyone's kind of been scratching their heads. Everyone's like, a few people in the stream today be going like, wasn't Bannerlord dead? It's alive again? Like, yeah, basically we assumed base game was dead and then it would be kept alive with, you know, amazing overhaul mods. And not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a shame because I kind of feel like Bannerlord never reached its full potential. It never fully had all the features that it was aiming for. So this is promising that they're coming back to it. And yeah, hopefully, kind of, I guess, lesson learned. The good news they're saying is, though, that they haven't completely shelved all that work, but they're rather repurposing it, the new gameplay mechanics that they built in that cancelled project, and they're going to be including it as content for the base game. So it's not just going to go into the DLC, it's going to go into the base game, so you're going to get some of what they feel happy with from that cancelled project, and at least it will get to see the light of day, which, you know, is good for the developers. You know, they obviously worked hard on it and they were trying something different. So that coming into the base game regardless anyway, that's great to see. So this involves the introduction of a robust stealth system. Yes, actually quite happy about this because it's one of those areas that's always been super light in Mount & Blade games, but has so much potential if there was a proper stealth system. So they said this will allow you to infiltrate dungeons and hideouts, which has always felt really, you know, wonky. You know, they've been adding in new stuff for like prisoner escape stuff, and then you're like, oh, you've got a prisoner escape option, but we have no stealth mechanics to support this. This just doesn't work. Rescue prisoners and dispatch enemies without ever raising alarms. That's great. Really keen to see how that stealth system, a robust stealth system, actually works in Bannerlord. Then we've got the AI enemy will now detect sound and motion, becoming alerted by your actions through progressive levels of cautiousness. To succeed, you will need to not only carefully consider your position and movement, but also your environment, utilizing the elevation, darkness of night, and the natural cover to achieve your goals covertly. I'd love to be able to like infiltrate a hideout and like assassinate their captain as a way of clearing out a bandit camp rather than say like the full-on attack that you normally have to do. I don't know if that's something that they're looking to implement. Tailworlds, if you're watching, and if that is something you are, great. And if it's not, maybe have a think about it. Just saying. You can have that one for freezies. While these may not be enough, in some cases you'll find other stealth tactics like distractions and concealing corpses. Just, ooh, okay, that is actually fairly robust that you're going that far. You've got to hide the corpse you take out. Honing your effectiveness will further be possible through gear and the roguery skill. Good, because I've always been intrigued by some of the roguery skill stats and buffs and modifiers that it adds, but I've never been inspired to bother with it at all, because stealth has largely sucked. We'll be sharing more stealth details in the future. Deep dive, so stay tuned. Cool. Stealth kill. Look, sneaking up behind him. He's got a torch. Bam! I mean, the stealth kill, I don't know, is that, it looks like he's got a dagger. I thought that little bit of stone looked like he was going to hammer him over the head. We're also working on several features that we're planning to bring to the base game alongside the War Cells expansion. For one, we want to improve our trait system so that players will be able to develop better their characters. To this end, we're working on a feature that will prompt you with random events during your journeys. Ideally, this will not just offer a new avenue of character development, but also add further life to the world of Calradia. So yeah, this is kind of, I think, I don't know if it's, you know, similar thought process or what have you, but this just reminds me of the kind of random event system that occurs in the Warhammer mod, the Old Realms mod. I love that, the flavor that adds in when you're just adventuring around. It's something like, oh yes, you come across a forest, and inside the forest is an old wizened crone who offers you a book, and then something, you choose your option and the tale progresses from there. Honestly, this type of story stuff is 100% the type of story stuff that I think they should be adding in and focusing on. 100%. Don't need a full new narrative-driven main quest or story, but little bits like this sprinkled in fairly regularly, that's great. That's the sort of stuff that I think will prolong your sandboxy playthrough. Because again, you can choose to ignore these things, you know, or engage with them as little or as much as you would like to. So that's the random events there. Town and castle projects will also undergo changes. Thank you, please, because again, they just suck. I've never liked the building system in Bannerlord. I mean, it's better to have it than not, but it's always just been, I don't know if it's just kind of, I don't like the UI design of it, but it's never really appealed. And I tend to conquer a settlement and then, I don't know, throw a load of gold in and then choose a few things and then forget about it, basically. So this will improve the balance between projects and impactful effects, and those with limited or situational effects, and add new types. This will also allow for better control over the management of your fief. Good. More fiefdom management. Lovely. Another point of interest is the passage of time and the cycle of life in the game. While we think that Bannerlord manages to achieve a happy medium between this progression and not rushing players, we also feel that additional choice in this regard would make for a fun alternative. I mean, honestly, I would actually hard disagree that it's this progression. I know some people have said in their playthroughs, oh yeah, I carried on playing as my children because my character... I've never had a character die on me, and I've never got to a point where my kids came of age. I mean, maybe it's because I'm just not playing long enough, but I feel like I've played a fair amount in my playthroughs. I actually wouldn't mind a slightly faster passage of time, but also having that option is fine, because there's going to be times where I'm like, I just want to create one character and play as this one character the whole game and make them an amazing warlord. But the whole, like, cycle of life stuff, I feel, is so minimally impactful into your experience because it just never happens most of the time. I mean, you occasionally get a pop-up for, oh, your wife's given birth to some children. Great. And then you're like, never going to interact with them again because they're never going to grow up and, you know, be meaningful characters in my game. So if they're looking to, change that up, make that more impactful, more meaningful, systems that are already there, just never really getting used, that's great. I think that's good. We're also making it easier to communicate with nearby enemies by introducing the parlay feature, allowing you to enter into conversation without getting your head cut off. I mean, there are a number of times where I'm just like, I just wanted to talk to someone, please don't kill me. So that's good. Parlaying from an enemy with a distance. That just honestly just reminds me always that scene, not just this clip here, but it's always this little bit where they're standing up on the castle wall looking at, of the Monty Python, the Holy Grail. I told him we already got one. Yeah. Community requested character import and export feature is in the works, allowing you to adjust various aspects like equipment, perks, skills, attributes, name, culture, gold by editing the character file in the game saves folder and importing it in via the console window cheats. Alongside these, we will continue to work with on the combat experience, which includes the addition of new weapon types like slings. Spear bracing is being refined with better targeting, smoother animations, and spearmen using their spears by default, making them more effective against cavalry charges. Nice. So yeah, new weapon type sling. That's cool. That's cool. Although, literally, why do I feel like this is just so that the looters at the start of the game are going to wreck me even more? They're not just going to throw rocks at me, they're going to sling rocks at me. Great. Great. But slingers, honestly, that does actually sound kind of cool. A variety of AI enhancements are also being added, such as more accurate usage of melee weapons, improved pathfinding and reduced zigzag movements for mounted AI, improved range AI accuracy against moving targets, and increasing fire rate through better avoidance of friendly troops. Beyond that, we're addressing various siege AI issues, preventing archers with a targeted order from getting too close to the enemy, and more. We're likewise working on a number of adjustments to support our modders better. This includes allowing attack while crouched, looking at you mods with guns. Nice. Further opening up the AI agent attack and weapon selection decision-making processes, making the interpolated mission atmosphere moddable, providing audio modding support for Fmod banks and events, as well as opening up campaign time to customization. To make modding even more accessible, we're adding in an XML editor, removing the need to manually edit XML files to add, remove, or modify items, heroes, factions, settlements, and more. Those that will prefer to continue doing it manually will also see the process simplified, where we're using the SLT system will no longer be necessary. And yeah, that's the end of that. Honestly, I mean, for the modding side, that sounds really good. I'm not a modder, so I don't know if those are genuinely the stuff that modders want to hear, but it all sounds very positive. And I think, you know, broadly, and I'd like to think that Tailworlds do, it sounds like they do acknowledge the amazing work that modders have done, not just in their creations, but again, keeping the game alive, because that's what modders have done. Tailworlds haven't done that, modders have. But I don't think they're ignorant of that fact, to be honest. I think they're very much aware of that. So, yeah, honestly, Bannerlord DLC was not on my 2025 list. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm genuinely hyped, and I will 100% be looking to cover War Sales when it comes out on the 17th of June this year, if not before. Very happy, Tailworlds, if you want to send some early access. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Until the next one, take care and ciao for now.